It's gorgeous out. Let's pop some ducks.
This is the Upduck Podcast, a blend of upland and waterfowl hunting. Tune in as your hosts, Tyler Beaton, Jeff Ludicky, Matt Jeske, chat about training dogs and share their bird hunting stories, tactics, and strategies.
There it is.
Nope,
Did you hear it?
didn't hear it.
Okay.
Did not hear it.
Okay. All right. Gentlemen, what is happening on this Wednesday night?
Not
Not
much. I
What'd you guys do
almost
for
fell
snow?
asleep. I almost fell asleep putting my son to bed. That's
Oh,
why
that'd be
I had to crack a beer to wake myself back up. When you lay in there in the darkness for like a half hour straight, just like keeping my eyes as wide as I possibly can and not fall asleep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Matthew?
But,
Yeah.
was
What'd
that
you guys
Matt
get for
Snow?
in the last 48 hours,
Oh,
which is now mostly gone by my house.
we got eight or so inches at the blizzard. It was a straight up blizzard on Monday, but it was rained all day Sunday. So
Yeah.
it's
We
melted.
probably only got 5 or 6, but it was hard to say because there was bare patches in my grass behind trees, but then there's spots with a foot, so it's kind of hard to average it out, honestly. 40 mile an hour winds.
Yeah, there were drifts in my driveway that were like over knee height. Like it was deep. My snowblower died, so I borrowed a neighbor's and I killed that thing at least 15 times because it was a little heavy.
Yeah.
But
It wasn't Wausau, though, because that looked rough.
Oh, yes.
30 or 32 inches in 24 hours or less.
That's a little bit of snow. Just
Yeah.
a little bit there. So
And most of mine melted today. Should be all gone tomorrow.
excellent. That's great. Yeah. We're going to be close to 60 on Saturday. So back to
It'll be 70 here on Friday.
oh, wow. Yeah, we're feeling really lively tonight. Clearly, we're all run down here. It must be because we're all crazed and ready to go for March Madness. That's got to be it.
There it is.
So, yeah, that's it. I have not filled up my bracket yet. Need to get that done
You
ASAP.
should get on it
Yes.
pretty soon.
Tomorrow at 11 o'clock, I think.
Yeah.
I know. It's been on my to-do list. I just can't get there.
Just hit the old autofill and you're good to go. Got just as good a chance as anybody else that fills it out.
Right? And it's that time of year where we are seeing, you see on social media, you see all the brackets, right? I saw one for gas stations. So,
Yeah.
Reese had that. I was like, oh, Quick Trip. I've seen a bunch for dogs as well, right? What's the, dogs, gun dogs, all that stuff. And so we figured, why not have a dog expert on? So our guest tonight is
nice.
Sami Strutz. Did you like that transition there?
That was good. That was good.
That was good. Sami Strutz, she's dog trainer, behavioral specialist, hunter, pretty much anything and everything dogs. Sami, welcome to the Upduck Podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, we are too. So every first-time guest, we just start off with, hey, tell us where you're located. Tell us what you do. Just give us some background on yourself.
Yeah, so I grew up in South Dakota. I'm born and raised here. I live East River, so not in the pretty side of the state where there's all the hills and stuff. There's more hunting here in the East River side. And yeah, my life, I feel like, is revolved around two pillars, hunting and dogs. And those two things can go really well together, but I try to live out those two passions with like my career and my hobbies. So I went to school for dog training, have a wide variety of experience in not just hunting dogs, but just pet dogs to a ton of sport dogs, to hunting dogs. And then I help owners be better owners for their dogs as well. So I love both sides of those things and I love to hunt. So I'm glad that I picked a career that was able to incorporate that into my lifestyle. And yeah, I grew up following my dad along in the pheasant field, and I was always kind of the underdog. I feel like that was before girls like got into hunting, and he was like so proud to have the only girl that was there out shooting some of the boys. And that's kind of like sparked my interest into hunting and running dogs. I started running field trials with my dad in like the youth division, and then all my interest just kind of carried into meeting my husband, running the dogs that I have now. And I just started posting on Instagram. So I literally started my Instagram just for to capture all the memories of Tex and I hunting together. And I just posted the photos I like to take pictures of, and it all just kind of organically has spiraled from there.
Okay. That was great. We're all itching to ask questions. I'm not even sure where to start with these questions. I just want to know, where do you go to school for dog training? Like where's it at, and what does it specialize in?
There's more options now, I feel like. So when you're picking like dog training, I feel like a lot of people can be like, well, I train dogs, and they do it just like online. You can just do like a ABC, which is like Animal Behavior College, which I'm not hacking on that by any means, but I wanted to make sure if I was going to train people's dogs, I already knew the experience I had, and knew how much I liked it, and knew I had a lot of natural talent with it. So I chose to go to a school that was hands-on learning. So I went to Hutto, Texas. It's called Starmark Academy. And I drove down there. And when I was I should back up a little bit. When I was in high school, you have to have like a senior project to be able to graduate. And I knew like people build cars, people do weird stuff. And I was like, well, I'm not just going to do something I'm not interested in. So I bought a dog, trained her to be a service dog, and I was going to give her to be a veteran. And through that process, I learned so much about the dog training world. I learned a ton about like standards of training and hands-on training and all of this stuff. And it just was like, oh my gosh, I'm really good at this. So instead of just like going down, like, I'm just going to go to college, I was like, well, I'm going to go down to Hutto, Texas, this tiny little town, go to this school. And I was like in dog boot camp from sun up to sundown. You're cleaning kennels to training dogs to learning how to teach owners to like class sessions. So learning about like dogs and their brains and how they work and how reinforcement works and all of the negative to positive punishment and just different things, just so that you're well-rounded. So when you come out of that, you can either run your own business with trained dogs, or some people just have it as a side gig now and they don't even do that professionally. So it just gave me a well-rounded experience to be able to like capitalize on what I already knew and learn some new stuff to come back to.
Okay, I'm Jeff. You can ask the question next. I just have to make a comment here. My senior project was like repairing an engine, like a small engine, and it didn't work. You're like, hey, I'm gonna buy a dog, train it fully, and donate it. Like,
yeah.
I mean, that's wild.
I started like my junior year, and I was like, I'm going to do this because I was like, I want it to be like something I like doing. If I have to do it and like write things about it. And I just always had an interest in dogs. So I was like, and I bought a German Shepherd, and I grew up in a lab family. And I remember bringing that German Shepherd home. My dad was like, what the heck did you just do here? And I mean, they were so supportive, but I was like, I learned so much in that experience. And I'm really, really grateful that path happened. But there was a lot of people that were building engines, and there was a lot of people that was putting on 5Ks. Just wild stuff. And I will tell you, everyone wanted to come to my presentation because like I just had my dog here, and she like actually helped me calm down a ton too. Because I was like, I can present in front of all these people in this room because like my dog's over here just like calming my nerves for me.
It's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, sorry, Jeff, I cut you off. Go ahead.
Tyler, this whole thing with your senior project being a small engine that didn't work, it kind of explains the whole snowblower situation we were just talking about here. This is all kind of coming to life here.
I work a white collar job for a reason. Okay, I fully admit that I am not very handy. That was not.
That's funny. Well, anyways. Yeah. So once you got out of college, Sami, and you started doing this professionally, like how did you start out? Were you working with, aside from your German Shepherd that you did for your project, were you working with mostly hunting dogs or companion dogs, or what did that look like for you when you first started?
Yeah. So when I got out of school, I knew I was going to go that's when I got Tex, who is like my heart and soul dog that I've traveled the country for hunting with. And I got him and I was like, all right, I had met my husband right before I went down there. He's in the military. So we had a lot of like long distance. And then I was like, okay, when I get home from the school, I'm going to buy my first lab, and I'm going to go from a baby puppy lab to a finished retriever. And I'm going to do all the hunt tests, and I'm going to do all of this fun stuff with this dog and hunt with it. And when you grow up with upland dogs, when you go into like waterfowl, like retriever stuff, it's a very different world. So I was like, I feel confident in the upland world, so I'm going to go into this. So I bought my own little black lab, Tex. And in that time, I also started with a company here locally that was opening. Like, it's God's timing that how it all worked out, because when I got home, I mean, 3 months later, I was working at this beautiful facility that was just opening, and they actually had all their spots full. And I just applied, and I was like, hey, I'd love to sit down and talk to you. And when I got hired there, I didn't even like get hired as a training person, because they didn't know if they were going to do dog training. I built a whole like day program / like boarding where you drop the dogs off and everything. And that first building was 10,000 square feet. So, I mean, it was a big operation, all of that stuff. We grew fast. I built the whole training program there, and that was mainly companion dogs. But something I take a lot of pride in is I started a lot of dog sports in the Sioux Falls area. So I was able to have a owner of the company who did a ton of just like empowering my ideas. She was like, if you think we can make this work and this will be a thing that Sioux Falls can build off of, let's do it. So I went into dock diving and scent work and frisbee and barn hunt and all these things, in addition to building up a program where, like, I built a program called Pup University for people when they get their brand new baby puppies. They can drop their dogs off for the day, and we can do training while helping the owners. But that way there's not so much owner guilt when you bring home a baby puppy and you go to a job from 8 to 5, to working with a lot of behavior modification dogs where they are very aggressive. They have bites on their, record and stuff. So, I love educating people. So I love to be able to work with owners. And I think my pet dog people give me a lot of gratification, because they get to live with their dogs and you can just see the gratitude. But on the other side of that, I love the working dogs. I love people being able to just like have a team connection with their dog and do more with their dog. So I love the sport and the hunting dog world for that. So I kind of like spread myself thin by making sure I can touch both of those worlds, because they both like fill up different passions of mine. They truly do. Like if I did just one, I think I would get burnt out. And a lot of people in the dog world do get burnt out pretty fast. But I think because I have been able to have different passions for different reasons, it's been able to kind of help balance that. I hope that answered that question.
Yeah, for sure. Like, you're giving yourself a little bit of variety, right? We don't want to do the same thing every day and just sit at your desk and not be able to get around and move around and do other projects. So I totally get that side of things for sure.
Yeah. And I will say too, like when I came back, I purposely was like, I'm not going to just start a kennel and train only retriever dogs or only hunting dogs, because that's a big passion of mine. And I didn't want to be burnt out doing what I love to do. And I wanted time with my own dog, and I wanted to be excited about hunting season and all of these things. So I put a lot of limits on what I would do in the hunting world for other people. Now, that's not saying I don't train other people's hunting dogs, because if you bring me a well-bred lab or well-bred golden, I'm like, let me help you with your puppy, especially if you want to go hunt up with them. And I love being able to, like, a good friend of mine had a field-bred golden, and I force fetched and did a lot of stuff with that dog. And we got to hunt together for his first hunt this year. And that was super cool to see that. But selfishly, like, I want to run my dog on a hunt. So I love to be able to run my dog. So I don't want to fill myself up with too much where I'm sacrificing my dog's time in the field.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. So you said you had a German Shepherd, you have a lab. Any other dogs? Like, let's talk a little bit about your dogs. Yeah,
my personal pack Shepherd of mine that I was just telling you about, she just passed away very unexpectedly, like 3.5 weeks ago. So she bloated, and I found her passed away. Mm-hmm. So it was just something that I think makes me more of an experienced dog owner going forward. It's something I can relate to owners with. I can talk through that process, but it was definitely something that I was like, man, this is like an end of an era. Like, she was almost 11 years old going on like 2 years old. Like, no one knew her age. She was great. And then right now I have 3 labs. Tex, he'll be 9 this year. And then Zin, he is kind of my up and comer. And then I kept a puppy from a Tex breeding. She's only 10 months old. And then I have a Dalmatian who's super fun. Everyone loves him. He's a great sport dog. A little Corgi who I obtained from a client dog. She was such a cool little dog, and they were going to bring her to the Humane Society. And I was like, that dog's too cool. And I put too much work into that dog. So I was like, she's coming to my house. And then by the time this podcast releases, I'll probably announce it, but I just brought home an English setter puppy on Saturday. So I have a array of dogs, and they all serve a different purpose. I don't bring a dog into my home unless I have like, this is what we're going to do, and this is why I'm getting you. And honestly, I feel like living with all my dogs is super easy, other than them hogging the bed and the couches. I mean, like, they're all in their kennels asleep right now and not bothering me. So I can put them away.
Okay. So I want to ask a couple of questions. So
Yeah.
First, I want you to sell Jeff and Matt on why having more than one dog is a must. Because I have been pushing them to pick up their second dog. Like,
every podcast episode.
oh yeah. Yeah.
No, I honestly, like, when I got Tex, like, I mean, we grew so fiercely into waterfowl hunting, and I was actually in Canada hunting one of the years, and I overworked him. Like, we were hunting a duck slough, and it was really thick weeds, and it was not hot or anything, great conditions, but he overworked, like, kind of like his hip flexor muscles from trudging through an 8-man limit in Canada. So he picked up a ton of ducks, and I remember putting him back on that, putting on the stand, and he refused a bird. And I was like, never in my life have I had this dog ever do that. And his whole demeanor changed. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to let him sit here, whatever. And then I called my vet. He's awesome and love him to death. He's Gun Dog Doc on Instagram if you guys follow him, but he's awesome. And I called him, Joseph. Yeah, I called him and I was like, what do I do here? Whatever. And he talked me through that. And that time I was like, Justin, we're going to need to have a dog that I can give Tex some break to. If we're running these, like, our hunting groups, probably like 4 to 6 people on average, and it's the same people, but if we get into a duck slough like that again, or even hunting pheasants in the snow, you know, like, it wears those dogs out, and I need to be able to put my dog up for rest and have another dog that can do that. And as much as I like, my dog has so much drive and so much go still, you would not know he's 8 years old, but he gets tired, and he's going to start aging more and more. So when he turned 6, I was like, we were packing the trailer for Canada, ironically, again. And I was like, we're going to need to get a puppy. And he got delivered while we were in Canada. I had someone staying, and I was like, so he came, and I didn't know if I was going to, like, love him a lot. I was like, you're so different than Tex. And oh my gosh, he's a hammer. Like, I mean, this year was so fun with him, and it was just so great. And now I will say, running 2 dogs in the blind on opposite sides of the blind, and having Tex, who's like a finished dog, who'll pretty much run for anybody, but typically I'll run him, and then my husband will run Zen on the other side. It is so much fun, and it is so much faster in pickup time. Like, those 2 dogs can pick up every single bird in the matter of the time that we could pick up 2 or 3. So it makes the time go by faster for that. And I'm all for having a second dog. I don't know how I'd feel about it in the field. Yes, it's more work, but I love it.
Yeah. We could have a separate side conversation about, like, difference in personalities, and just, like, it took me a few years before I was like, okay, little black dog, I actually like you. So
yes,
Jeff and Matt have heard me complain about Ren all the time.
Yeah, it took Tyler a solid year and a half before he
it took a while.
his dog.
It did. And now she's really she's won me over here. So now it's
that's how it was with Zen. I remember bringing him to Dane, who runs him in Hunt Test, and I was like, if you tell me he's a washout, I won't feel bad. I'll sell him. Like, I'm totally good. And I remember him being like, you have a dang good dog. And I'm like, no way. And this year I was like, oh my gosh, like, we're bringing him back on Friday down to him again so he can run more tests. And I'm like, gosh, I'm going to miss the little guy. Like, it's like, it was so much fun hunting with him. And yeah, he grew on me a lot, but it took, like, honestly, probably a year and a half before I was like, he's okay.
Yeah. Dane, which kennel does Dane run?
Apex Retrievers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Dane. I met him this past spring, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah. He's a very, very, very good trainer.
Yes. Yeah. And like when I started with hunt tests, like I was running techs, but when I got into like dog sports and stuff, I was like, I have to choose. Like I have to be there for running multiple dogs, whatever. So like I'm very picky of anyone I would trust with my dogs. Like these guys I pour so much time into, and I loved how Dane ran the dogs. I loved how his standards at his kennels, how he opened up his, like, you can come down anytime with no notice and you can train with us. You can see this. And it's just been so consistent. And I trust him wholeheartedly with my dog, which there isn't many people I can say that with. And he always sets him up for success. I know he won't run him unless he's ready, and he's picky and he has standards like me. So it's a mutual, like I keep them what I need to do for them, and I don't let them get away with a lot, but also he knows my standards and he can match those. So it's a really good like partnership that I really have enjoyed the experience of working with him.
Yeah. And Matt, are you familiar with Dane or Apex Retrievers?
No, I've never met him before.
No. He's got like over 100 grand passes. So he's very accomplished. His trailer has a deep freezer on it. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Anyway, we could talk a whole bunch about that. I want to go back to the Dalmatian thing. Okay. So like you said, every dog has a purpose. All right. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, we're bouncing all over because there are so many things to talk about right now. I don't even I'm like a candy store. Tell me the purpose of the Dalmatian. Like, what do you do with the Dalmatian? What do you do with him? I have a vested interest. My 4-year-old daughter is set on getting a Dalmatian. My 6-year-old is set on getting a Dachshund. So and I'm on board to get a third lab here at some point. So
So when I picked out my Dalmatian, it was because I'm a runner and I ran with my German Shepherd all the time. And I love running. If I'm going to run out, like, I don't know, I feel like I feel safer and I feel good if I'm running with a dog. And she was not well bred. All my other dogs from Blue have been well bred, my Shepherd. So she had like a fibrotic myopathy issue kind of in her hips. And when I started to see that, I was like, I'm going to retire her from certain things because I want her to live all her senior years as long as she can, which I know doing that with her helped her live longer and just in better quality of life for her. So I was like, I need to make sure that when I bring this next dog in, I can have a lot of endurance with this dog. So I mainly got Raymond, my Dalmatian, to run and bike with. Like, I was like, I need a dog that has the endurance, is bred to do that, enjoys that. And I wanted to dabble in a flashier dog, which now I'm like, okay, I wish I didn't have a Dalmatian sometimes because you get stopped all the time and all of the stuff. But I was at a scent work trial and I was watching a Dalmatian run, and I went up to her and I was like, where did you get that dog? And she connected me with her breeder. And I am so thankful I was in the right place to meet her and get a dog from her breeder, because we love that dog. He's brought us many cool opportunities, and he is just a really, really fun partner, and he rocks it in dog sports. Like you go to like a scent work trial or a dock diving event or whatever, and you're like seeing the labs and the Goldens and all of these things, and here comes a Dalmatian. And now in like Sioux Falls there's like 25 Dalmatians, and I'm like, I feel like I started this trend because everybody loves Raymond and he's awesome, and everyone just thinks the Dalmatians are great, which they are. If you get a well-bred Dalmatian, they are the coolest dogs ever. They get a bad rap because there's a lot of crappy backyard breeders out there. But a well-bred preservation breeder, they are phenomenal. Very great family dogs, very good, easygoing. Like, I'll run with you for multiple miles, or I'll just chill on the couch with you. Like, they are super adaptable.
That's great. So like, I know what the price for like a well-bred lab or well-bred golden goes for. Like, what does a well-bred Dalmatian go for?
I feel like the range can be anywhere from like $1,200 to $2,000. Like, I think Ray was $1,200 or $1,200 because he was a show dog. So kind of like if you're like selling like a field lab, you know, like they want them to perform in the field or in hunt tests or whatever. Same with this Dalmatians, is like they have the show dogs or they have pet homes. So when I bought him, the breeder was like, you have to sign onto a contract that you will do some showing and get him to his championship, because it's good for longevity in the line. It's good for all of these things. So I did that. So I paid a little bit more because he's a little bit like of the higher quality of just his spots. Like they all are well bred, but he had the look of being able to meet the standards of a show dog. So I was bringing him to dog shows and stuff.
It seems reasonable. $1,200 doesn't seem all that expensive for a rare breed like that, right?
No, and honestly, I feel like the Dalmatian world is so like, I don't know, like I just feel like everyone's so genuine and really doesn't try to like, I don't know, like, not that people do this, but like try to jip people on the dog or whatever. But like in the lab world, you can see like a really well-bred dog and you could get it for $800, and you can see someone selling a crappy bred dog for $2,500. And there's just so much variety from both sides, where like Dalmatians, I feel like if you're getting a well-bred Dalmatian and you're in with well-bred Dalmatian people, you have a very consistent price point. Like you're not having some Joe Blow just trying to like jip the price just because they can. I feel like some of the backyard breeders might do that a little bit because they know people can buy a puppy that's cute and they can get away with it. But I feel like that's kind of in every breed too. They can be like, they can throw any price on and then it can make it happen. So
I would concur. I think there's a lot of parallels across breeds with that. For sure. Yeah. All right. I've totally taken us down some, I don't know what kind of windy road we're on. Jeff, Matt.
So Sammy, I saw on your Instagram story, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, that you were kind of teasing some like big happenings and big things that were possibly coming up in your life. Yeah. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, no, I have been dabbling with being able to put out a little bit more of like digital stuff for people that like do have hunting dogs or performance puppies. So I'm going to eventually release the link of just like some ebooks on raising a performance puppy in a home that is also, so like anybody could buy this ebook and know how to raise a puppy that is going to live with you, but also you're going to perform with it, whether that's a dog sport or whether it's hunting, because I feel like people don't talk about that dynamic a lot. You're either somebody who like the dog lives in home and is in a family home, or the dog is out in the kennel, and nobody knows how to make that in between where you can have a good balance of hunting your dog, living with your dog, having a good family dog, and how to get there in the foundation stuff. And anybody who knows me knows I love foundations. I love puppy stuff. And I love educating owners. So I love being able to be like, hey, these are the things I do as raising a puppy or somebody else's puppy. And it makes a world of difference. If you just do these 4 or 5 things, change this stuff, you can just get so much farther faster than having to backtrack. So just some like education pieces. And I need to tell everybody that follows me that I brought a new puppy into my pack, and that hunting season just got more wild. So only like my friends and family know. And it's funny because Joe just posted a video on Up Leash, which is the vet clinic he just opened. And he's like, are you telling people yet? Are you not? And I was like, you can do it. By the time it's out, people will know. So I just need to make the post. I need to like word it right. And just like, I want people to know that like, this is just like another opportunity for me. And it's funny because when I knew I wanted to get an English setter eventually, I only wanted a black and white one because now all my dogs are black and white. It's like my Corgi's black and white. So I was like, black is my favorite color. So we're just going to have this realm. Well, when this puppy came available, I was already going to get one from this litter or from this breeder. When this puppy came available, I didn't really get to pick this puppy, and he has tan. He's a tri. And so I think it's like Blue, my shepherd who just passed, being like, you always have to have like a little bit of tan in your family, because she was tan and black. So he's got a few tan spots. And I think it's just funny that he came into my life and I didn't know that this was going to happen. And he's just a little speckle of blue that will carry on.
Well,
that's awesome.
Amazing. Yeah, that's amazing. The ebook thing sounds really cool, and we'll be looking forward to checking that out possibly once you release it.
Yeah,
for sure. I think Like to give, can you give people a little bit of preview, or actually let me ask it this way. Like what are some of the common mistakes that people make when they bring home a puppy? Like what sets them back? What slows them down?
I think two of my biggest things that I'm definitely going to hit on is too much freedom too fast. People give their puppies way too much freedom. They don't create, like they feel bad putting their puppy in the kennel. Then their dog's pottying everywhere and they're chewing on stuff. And the first like multiple weeks of this puppy's life, they're just yelling no at it and they're frustrated. And it's not fun for them or this puppy. So just telling people, hey, it's okay to put your puppy away. Quality over quantity timeout. So if you're having your dog out, I'd rather have 20 quality minutes with my puppy than 2 hours of keeping my puppy out where I'm not really like doing anything with my puppy. So like if I was in this podcast, instead of just letting the puppy run around and entertain itself, after this, I'm going to get him out. I'm going to work him for 20 minutes. I'm just going to spend some one-on-one time with him and then I'm going to put him to bed. So and like, I feel like people feel bad. They're like, well, I'm doing something for the next hour and a half and he's just sitting in his kennel. Well, puppies should be sleeping a lot and we're building habits right now. So instead of letting him learn all the bad habits, all I'm doing is enforcing, like, we're just going to take a nap. We're going to chill. We're going to sleep. And we're going to, when I have him out, build really good habits. So quality over quantity of time out. The second thing is feeding. If I can tell people, hey, you might be feeding too much, your puppy is not working for its food. And if I can help people wire their brains to be like, make your puppy work for their meals, you will get so much faster, so much further faster by doing that little tip. So like Rev, my puppy, he's only eating out of the bowl probably twice since I've had him home. All of his food has come from me in hand feeding of some kind. So I might work on like 5 or 6 recalls where I just say his name. He comes to me. I give him a little handful of food. I do that 6, 7 times at most. Or I might work on capturing place or sitting or whatever it is, instead of just putting his food bowl down. And then now I have to reward him with treats. I'm just a puppy who has a belly only this big at the start. I'm always keeping it so full that it never really wants to work with me because it doesn't need to. It's like, well, I'm fine. You're gonna feed me tonight, or I'm fine. I just ate a full meal. So unless you're giving me like gourmet chicken, why would I stop eating anything in the yard? Because I'm full and I'm content. So just teaching people like little tiny tips of working for their food instead of putting it in a bowl takes you 2 to 3 extra minutes at most if you're in a rush. And again, it gives you a time to bond with your puppy, build good habits. And that way you aren't always having to have a treat out for things. Like I do build my puppies up on positive reinforcement, but I also correct things I don't want. But a lot of that is not with treats. Like the first year of their life, they're mainly working for their food. And when I go out in public, I can pull my puppy off of any distraction for their kibble. And that tells me I'm on the right track with my puppy. If I have to pull out X, Y, and Z to get my puppy to look at me, that tells me I haven't dialed in my feeding schedule quite yet, or my working relationship schedule quite yet. So those are kind of like my 2 pillars that I feel like I educate people on all the time. Also just setting them up for success while also, teaching them the things that we want. So like if you want a bird dog, like don't wait until they're 9 months old to introduce them to a bird or a wing or anything like that. Like introduce that prey instinct early on. Make sure that we are building these puppies to be successful if we eventually want them to be. Like, and even if you only hunt with your dog 2 or 3 times a year, that's okay. But if you know you're going to do it at least once, do the pre-work while they're a baby and they're learning what is happening and what's okay. So that way you're not having to like fight with, is this dog going to make it in the field? Is this dog going to be scared of this? They are just more bulletproof for that scenario when that comes.
That's great.
Sorry, that was a lot.
No. I could ask more, but we got to save some for the ebook. I think like that's there's a lot there too. Cause like the treats thing, I think that's something that like people buy treats on top of dog food, and it's like your dog's if your dog likes to eat their kibble, that is the treat. Like that is the treat. I think the unlock for people like listening into you is, hey, think about when I'm training or when I'm using my treats or my kibble as as the training mechanism to reward the behavior.
Yep.
Right. And versus when they're actually being fed, right? Let them get hungry, right? Let them get hungry so they're motivated to work. Like that is like something I think that can get lost, right? As people.
Yeah, I feel like people too like think that their dogs know things, but they've never actually taught them. So like your dog does respond to stuff, or your dog does come when called because it's a 10-week-old puppy. Of course, if anyone's talking to it, it's going to run to you. So like I'll have puppy owners bring me their puppies and they're like, they already know, sit down, come, all of this stuff. And I'm like, okay, let's go out to the field, or let's go out into a new yard. And their puppy has no engagement on them. And engagement's like my number one starting point, but also teaching these foundation behaviors. So that way, when we layer on like an e-collar, or we layer on a correction, or we layer on these things, these dogs are knowing what they're getting corrected for, or knowing how to communicate with us already. So we can, again, get the result faster and fairer to these dogs. And we're not having to like feel like we're failing, or the dog hates its life in these training sessions or whatever. Like you're going to have those times where you have to like kind of battle it out with your dog, because you're like, hey, you're not going to win this session by breaking or doing this or doing that. And they do have to have like a few moments of like, come to Jesus, we're just going to sit here and we're going to chill. But it shouldn't be like that every single session. And you shouldn't be like hammering on something that your dog can't perform in the yard, but they can perform it in the living room. So generalizing those things. And I feel like if I can tell people, make them work for their food, get hungry, that holds the owner accountable to work with their dog, like not putting it on the back burner, not allowing them to just be like, okay, my dog knows it. Like they have to put in the time to build those things. And if I say, hey, don't feed your puppy out of bowl, well, now they have to be forced to teach the puppy a few things, you know, so it allows them to be accountable with that.
All right. So we're on the training tangent here. So I'm stuck asking a billion questions. So you talked about, right, taking your dogs or your puppies like out into public and being able to pull them off stuff, right? Like just with all the work that you're doing, and treats or kibble or whatever you want to use, right? Like at what age are you taking them out into public and are able to do that? Like talk about that a little bit. Like how much of that training and that building of habits takes place before you introduce them out to the public? And then like at what point do you transition off of that, the treats, and start to layer on maybe just verbal praise as the positive?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So when I bring a baby puppy home, obviously I'm super careful about anything my puppy does. If I have some wild person coming up and asking to pet my puppy, I'm like, absolutely not. I don't allow any dog to say hi to my dog. It's on leash. I'm very protective of my dogs. And I also am very protective of where I bring them. So I don't bring them to dog heavy places while they're little babies. Like Rev is on the track for his vaccines right now, of course, but I'm not going to bring him somewhere that he could be exposed to some other person's careless dog ownership, you know? So for example, like I might bring him to a place, like when I bought him, we were decorating for a birthday party, and I brought him with me that I had a few trusted people that I could introduce him to. It wasn't a dog place. I got permission to bring him in, and he's just a little baby puppy. So I'm holding him. And I try to expose my puppy to a ton while they're little. So I try to, like, my motto is like, make bulletproof puppies. I want them to be like, I can recover from wild noises. I can recover from a dog freaking out at me, even though I don't need to respond to that, but I know mom or dad's going to keep me safe. I'm fine. I can be confident in myself. And I also, again, want my puppy to be exposed to different worldly things. So that way, when we travel, when we see somebody new, when we go to a new place, they're not like, whoa, what is this? And sometimes when the dogs are like, whoa, what is this? Their obedience doesn't overpower that because they're so in their brain. So if I can build my puppy to be mentally, like strong, then I can layer on obedience. So when my puppy has lack of impulse control, because it's a puppy still, it's not a robot, I can help guide them by allowing them to learn, like, hey, if I tell you sit, I'm going to follow through with sit until I tell you free. And that might be hard at the beginning, but that's why I layer leash pressure on. That's why I communicate to my puppy, you're in command or you're out of command. So I teach marker words. So that's kind of how I layer off of food, is like, if I say good, that means just keep doing it. Like, you don't need a food reward, just keep doing it. But honestly, I don't get to that point until my puppy's like 6 or 7, 8 months old. Like, my puppy has to show me that they're ready for that. It all can be a little bit different on the dog that I'm working with, but I layer leash pressure on early. So that way, when I start to expect my dog to behave, when they don't behave, I can follow through and hold them accountable if I need to. So that way I'm not having this dog where I'm saying sit 600 times and then they're just breaking over and over and over again. And then I just allow it because it's easier than micromanaging it. I'm just like, hey, well, it's fine, you know, not embarrassed. But I want to be able to communicate to my dog, hey, if I say sit, I'll eventually tell you free. And then when I tell you free, you can go greet. But until I tell you free, you've got to be held accountable until we get to that position. So, and as far as like, I think my dogs just kind of graduate to a point where, like, when I'm training other people's dogs, I'm definitely more reinforcing until I get to kind of e-collar stuff. I do a lot of reinforcement because mainly when they meet me, they might be 6, 7, 8 months old. So I'm starting a relationship from a different point than they have with their parents. But like my own puppies, I build them up. I try to make them bulletproof. I don't expect my puppy to be a drill sergeant puppy early on. And I think a lot of people are like, how do you get your puppy to sit and do this stuff? And it's because I feel like I don't crush them to make them do it. In their mind, like, they're in charge and they think this is a cool thing. So if I can capture these baby puppy behaviors early on and be like, hey, if you sit on place when we're watching a movie, you think that's the coolest thing ever. Eventually, when I start bringing him out in public, that's a default behavior for him. So it's not foreign to him when I bring him out places. So kind of putting in the work here, but also thinking that puppy, in the puppy's mind, thinking that they're going to get rewarded for offering the behaviors I like, which is normally like a place. Like if I set you there, you can just be relaxed. If it's a sit, if it's just a don't react to the surroundings. Like tonight is a good example. I brought my puppy to my scent work class, which was a very safe place. It's not a dog place. It was a warehouse we were searching. And I was like, great. He can travel in the crates. He can learn that it's okay. I can potty him in an area that is safe. And then like in that time, he sat in the kennel while I was doing my class, all of these things. And at one point I had him out on the leash and a huge motorcycle came by and I could tell he was a little nervous. He was like, well, that was weird. You know, I haven't heard that and whatever. And he kind of was like, whoa, what was that? And then I just let him recover. And I got to see, okay, what am I dealing with recovery time? But if I had not given him that experience early on and he never leaves the house until he's 6, 7 months old, we go on a walk one day and somebody goes by with rollerblades or a scooter or a motorcycle and that dog freaks out because they just don't know what the world is. And that is a lot of dogs that will come to me is they'll be like, my dog was abused. It hits people with hats. And I'm like, actually, your dog just has never been around anybody and or been exposed to certain things or whatever that might be. And it's just because in the dog's brain, they just have not ever been like, oh, this is safe or, oh, I don't need to react to this. So when they're baby puppies, I bring them as many places I can to build good habits and good exposure. And then I kind of wean off of maybe treats when they can start doing things with leash pressure and I can hold them accountable. And then I just kind of let it flow from there. And I let them be wild puppies and I let them be obedient puppies. I just try to have a balance of both. So I'm not crushing their freedom or not their freedom. I don't crush their spirit of being like, you have to do this, you have to do that. We're just drill sergeant. But I also don't let them be naughty either. Like, you don't get to bite me. You don't get to jump on me. Like, we're establishing this from day one. So just kind of a balance.
Balance. Love that. So basically like the key to training dogs is balance.
Oh yeah. I feel like you can, in the dog training world, you're either with like the purely positive people who won't correct a dog. And then you have like your people who never use food because they say whatever. And like, they're such polar opposites, and it's like, why would you stick to one or the other? Because you're not going to get the results if you're just balanced in the middle, and you can work the dog in front of you. You are going to have your dogs where you need a lot more corrections, and you're going to have your dogs where, like my little female that I kept from like my lab, when she's in drive, she needs a lot of corrections, but she's actually a very soft dog. She is like, she doesn't need a lot. And like, she is very different than her dad in some capacities, well, very much the same. So it's a kind of cool thing to figure out. But if I was only like, hey, she only can get treats and I'm never going to correct her, she would be a hellion and she'd cause chaos and probably be like in the pound by now. But if I also only use corrections, she would be questioning everything. She would be questioning, like, can I do this? Is this okay? Like, whatever. And I would not build the confidence in her that I need her to be a good gun dog.
It's great. There's so many threads here. I'm gonna just like keep asking questions here because I've got this is my jam here. So you talk like, I think like socialization, right? Dogs that aren't exposed to a lot of stuff, right? You talked about that. You get a lot of those dogs, right, that aren't socialized. Right. And then clearly you work your dogs regularly. Like your dogs are, right, they have a job, right? They always have a job that they're doing. When dogs don't have a job, what happens?
Well, they get bored. They have a lot of issues that I feel like, and they just don't feel fulfilled. So and I should, like, I don't make this seem to be like I work my dogs every single day. I will tell you, when I do stuff with my dogs, it's intentional, but I also am busy and I also have a life, and my dogs also have to know if I don't get work today, life's still grand. I still get fed. I still get mom cuddles at night, whatever it is. I might not need to run 10 miles or work for 20, 30 minutes, whatever that might be. So I'm very much a trainer where I tell my clients, like, I don't want you to feel like you have to come home and spend 2 hours training your dog or it's going to fail. I want you to find practical little moments in the day that you can connect, you can engage, you can do the training. And that fulfills your dog and that gives your dog a purpose. If you are constantly like, okay, well, I'm going to do an hour-long session and then never do anything with my dog again, that's kind of boring for your dog. So if I can be like, hey, when you potty your dog in the morning, do these 2 things. If you can, when you come home to let your dog out, like do this, do that. Make it convenient for you. Put their food somewhere that's convenient. You can grab a piece of kibble and you can make them wait or whatever it might be, because dogs need that communication from you to be successful, but they also do need a job. Like, you can't buy your field trial dog and just expect it to like be in a kennel and only hunt during the hunting season, because that dog is going to go so stir crazy during the off season. And it's so unfair to these dogs that if they don't have any fulfillment, and some of that fulfillment can literally be like having kids in the family and, like having, the energy of going on walks with the family or whatever. It doesn't need to be like you're going to run your dog 10 miles a day, because then you're just going to have marathon runners that you have a lot on your hands and you're never going to be able to get your dog to calm down. But it could literally be like, instead of letting your dog be a psychopath when you eat supper, put them on place, make them stay on place. I bet if you follow through for 1 week, any of like your guys' dogs or people who are listening to this podcast, they're going to do better and they're going to start to be fulfilled mentally if you can't stimulate them physically. So having that balance of both.
Yep. And I asked that question because the 9-year-old dog who's behind me here asleep, I took a different job and I've been working a lot more this year. And so my dogs have not been getting worked as much. And he's finding ways to get himself in trouble. I know he's bored. I know he's not as fulfilled. And yes. Last night, in the middle of the night, he woke up. He's in our room, like not on our bed. He's on his bed. He comes up on our bed when I get up in the morning. And he found his way out into the garbage, picked out the leftover shamrock shake because it was St. Patrick's Day yesterday, right? Yep. So there's green all over the floor. Yes. Yeah. And it was just like this is a 9-year-old dog. He knows the rules, knows the boundaries, and like it's still right. Boredom, no purpose, and they'd find their way into
Yeah, and like lifestyle change, like he's obviously adjusting to a new schedule, and now the schedule's become like a little bit of a habit where he's like okay, the reins have came off a little bit. I can do this, I can do that, I can do whatever. So he's trying to do something to get your attention or to reinforce himself or find trouble.
It's not the attention that he wants,
Nope.
because I mean, he knows. I mean, he knows what. Yeah. Yes.
Yep.
So
He's
yeah,
like, I'm just doing it to please myself for this moment.
pretty much. He walks out and he looks at me. I'm standing there, and then his ears go back, and he does like the slow walk. Like the 0.1 mile per hour. It's like, okay, dude, you're asking for it. Anyway, yeah, okay. I'll stop. Jeff, Matt, where do you want to take? We could do like 18 different podcasts.
I know. Sammy, we're gonna have to have you back on, because I wanted to talk about like water. I wanted to talk a lot about dog sports.
Talk about hunting.
I know.
That's okay though. That's okay. We had a professional photographer, videographer on once, and we talked for like 30 minutes about when he was a guide in Alaska and bears.
Specifically bears.
Yeah, for real. So this happens. Like I want to talk about the training philosophy, not on this one, but like the right positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, like the four squares, like that's like a whole separate thing that like people should yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and I could probably ask like 20 puppy questions thinking about like the next couple months or up to a year, and all the things that have now I don't remember at all from almost 8 years ago. Like we're talking about kenneling and stuff, and I'm like, we're in a very different spot now where that situation's not the same anymore. We're like went to work, came home for lunch, let her out, came back. Like it's very different now. So
and that's kind of the spot I want to talk about, Matt.
Okay.
I want to kind of talk about that spot, right? So that's like that messy middle part of the dog training world, right? Where you have a dog that's trained. Tyler, you mentioned, we all have middle-aged, getting to be senior dogs, right? And some of us tend to get on like cruise control, right?
100%.
So what is that? What do you find like owners are like, what are the biggest mistakes that owners are making like during this cycle of life for a dog? And what can we do to make sure we're bringing the best out of our dogs as they get older in life?
I love that question, because like I do think that is something you do get on cruise control. And I do feel like with dogs in that middle age, especially if you're a hunting dog, if you think about it, like you've got hunting season to look forward to, you spend a ton of time with your dog during hunting season, and in the off season, like life is just going on. You just are doing the thing. You get into a regimen, which means your dog gets into a regimen. So I try to, even though I don't work my dogs every day, especially now, because I do have, like I have this little pack of young dogs coming in, but really like Tex, Ray, Lola, and Blue, they were all 6.5 to 7 years up. So in that time frame, I love that stage. Like you have this dog that you just have this great partnership and connection with, and you are past that puppy stage. Is kind of like the prime years. But when you go on co-pilot, you're like, okay, this is the same thing over and over again. So I try to, especially with my dogs, or if I have clients struggling with that, I find things that the dog, it's new to their regimen. So like, let's say the kids have a soccer game on Saturday or whatever, like bringing the dog with, even if you only get the dog out for 20 minutes to potty them, walk them around or whatever, like the ability for your dog to do something out of its routine is so enriching. The other thing is giving them something to do that will work their brain or work something new. So like, even as silly as putting peanut butter in a Kong and letting your dog have that once a week, just a game changer for letting them have like some one-on-one, like stimulation. Licking is so good for dogs. It just like helps relax them. It releases a lot of like positive association with whatever's going on around them. And then also, again, like I find little games I can do with my like dog food. So like Raymond we're getting into scent work world right now, or trialing season, but the last couple, like during hunting season, like my sport dogs get kind of on the back burner and my hunting dogs are doing so much, but I will bring like my dogs with, even if they aren't hunting dogs, like they just get to go on a little weekend adventure. I let them out to potty in the field. They're like, whoa, this is wild. And then, so that's definitely enriching. Or like if I'm at home, instead of feeding him out of a bowl, I'll literally hide like 3 little things of food around the house. And I just say like, find it, and they just go and work their little nose and their brain at the same time. So, and I don't do that a lot. Like, I just will do it when I think of it, or when I'm like, hey, like, I'm going to get Ray out and I haven't worked you in a while. We haven't had a lot of fun or whatever. Or I might teach them a super simple trick like shake or spin or something with their food. And you will be surprised at how exhausted they get, because it's just like they're in their regimen and you're just doing something new with them. And it doesn't have to be something you are going to build on to be this wild thing. But like, I was just traveling for something. I can't remember what I was doing. And I had a lot of one-on-one time with my puppy and Nix, not my newest puppy, but Nix. And I was like, I'm going to teach you to shake. I was like, I've never taught that to you. And I was like, but like, we have some time together. Like, I might as well do something productive with you. And it was super fun. Like, I just like, she doesn't know it. Like, we didn't get to the end result, but it gave me like 2 or 3 days to be like, I have 5 minutes. I might as well just teach you shake. And you could just see the little gears working, and it just gave me a fun thing to do to change up her routine. So little things, I think, to change up their routine. I'm also a big advocate for off-leash dogs, like in the sake of hiking, going to a field, letting them just run. And like, that is so fulfilling, especially if you have a hunting dog. Not necessarily a walk on the leash in the house or in the neighborhood is that fulfilling for some of these dogs. Like finding a bike trail that you can have them off leash, or a hiking trail, or just going to a field, into a park, taking them off leash, and doing fetch a little bit different, not in the backyard. So doing that a few times, I think, helps that co-pilot stage.
Yeah. That mental stimulation is so important. It seems like, just as much as the physical stimulation is. But.
Oh yeah. And I'll do the kibble in their meals with the mental stimulation. Like I don't like, I do the Kongs, I do, all those things. The other thing is, I've never personally given my dog a dental, like had them go to the vet to get a dental done. I'm really big about naturally chewing and letting them, work down the plaque. We're talking about canines here. So I want them to naturally fulfill that. So a way that I will change up their day or mentally enrich them is I'll get like the frozen bone marrows, depending on the dog. Like if I like Tex, my black lab, he's a hard chewer. He'll break a tooth if I let him do that. So I find him like a collagen stick or something a little bit softer. But I have different chews for different times of the year, different times or whatever. So it's productive in both ways. I can let them sit and chew, and that's super fulfilling for them. Well, I can also have them clean their teeth, because when your dogs are chewing on stuff, they're using different parts of their teeth. Why they use their front teeth and their canines are 2 different purposes. To their back molars are very different purposes. And it's all in how what they're chewing on, what they're playing with, all of that stuff. So I have like everything from Benny bones to frozen bones to like new or like the collagen sticks to some of the natural chews that are super easy to just add in. And when I feel like I haven't done anything with them all day, I'll be like, well, this calls for a day that you guys all just get to chew and sit there for like an hour and do it. So that's another way that I build that into it, because that's that mental stimulation that they're doing as well.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes sense. Now, I know we don't have a whole lot of time left, and we haven't talked about hunting at all, but kind of while we're on this topic, we always talk about how like experience and birds make a bird dog, right? Getting them exposed to birds as much as possible. Now, when we're kind of talking about getting in cruise control and off season, maybe for somebody that doesn't have that extra motivation to train in terms of like doing hunt tests and stuff,
yeah.
Are we naive to think that we can continue to make our dogs better in the field by just giving them birds during the season? Or like, what should we be doing in the off season, like in regards to hunting activities to keep them getting better and better year after year?
I think for me is if you have that co-pilot dog that you're like Tex, like that dog is so turnkey. I love that dog more than my husband. Like he's the best thing ever. So he's so turnkey. Like I don't need to run. Once I got finished title on that dog, I was like, I'm not just going to keep pouring money into the same test, because anytime if I would have done the grand with him, it would have ran into hunting season. And I was not okay giving up hunting season with my dog to try to chase a title. That's also why I got Zen, is he can go run and try to get a grand pass while I hunt with Tex. I don't have to sacrifice one or the other. But like Tex, he doesn't need ducks thrown for him. He knows his job. He is a hammer in the field, which is probably where your guys' dogs are at. So for me, like, I focus on obedience or things that can be applicable to what he's going to experience in the field. So it's a smoother season. So e-collar work in the summertime. Don't just use your e-collar in the hunting season. Like, you can, if you go to hiking or go to a field, you can work on a recall, correct them if you need to, and make that faster. So that way, when you go to opening day, whatever you're doing, you're not having to like be like, okay, and now we have to like correct you 1,000 times because you're so high, which some dogs still will be. That's still going to be Tex and whatever. But at the same point, I'm working on like obedience things that are applicable to what he's going to be doing. So that might be him sitting on place when I go to trade shows. Like, that's a great steadiness thing. When people are like, come here, puppy, like, let me say hi. And I'm like, don't you dare get off that. It's a great steady training opportunity for him. Or I'll have him sit on place while I work all these other puppies. And I just make him sit there while he gets to watch what the other puppies get to do. And he doesn't get to go. He's earned that point where he can sit there and he knows he can do it and he's disciplined enough to do it. Yes, it looks unfair. It's not unfair. This dog gets to pick up so many birds in the hunting season that these dogs don't have the opportunity to do yet. So I'm working on practical life skills I can use in the house while also I can help me in the hunting season. So e-collar work, place training, steadiness, even just, the excitement around some of the arousal stuff and everything. Like, I'm not out there setting and running setups with him as well. And then creeping into hunting season, I think something that's overlooked a ton is preconditioning before we get to hunting season. So like, people just grab their dogs and they're like, okay, time for hunting season. And their dog's overweight, out of shape. They don't have their endurance built up. So doing something with your dog that just keeps them fit and active and keep their heart and lungs healthy. So that way, when we get to hunting season, we have a turnkey dog. We're not having to deal with, a dog that is almost overheating at the end of the field because we've done none of the pre-work. So I tell people, if you don't have time to work on steadiness or whatever, up your exercise with your dog. If you're a runner, if you're a biker, if you have a four-wheeler, you can run your dog just some, just to get some preconditioning in there so we can build good endurance when we get to the field.
Yeah, that's great. That's finding that balance, right? Like, you talked a lot about, doing fun things, teaching them new tricks, keeping that mental stimulation going, but also then working on fundamentals that can directly transfer over into the field, and developing and keeping those habits going as in the off season as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like too, right. So speaking from experience with Mac, right. I feel like right over the last couple of years, right, as my children have gotten older and I've had less time to train, like some of that foundation obedience stuff. And I think this probably applies to a lot of people, right? Dog that's been there, done that, picked up a whole bunch of birds. But I noticed like there's this like the smallest slippage of some of those standards, right? And it's like, I'm also not working those standards necessarily as much in the off season, right? Outside of like training setups, right? It's like there's an opportunity there to spend 5 minutes, right? I'm feeling motivated to go out in my driveway and do an obedience session with my dogs tomorrow. Like that has not happened in a while, where I'm like, I cannot wait to go outside, put the slip lead on, let's, get the place boards out and let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. And it literally can, like, I sometimes will fall into that thing where I'm like, I'm not super motivated. And I literally just fill up their bowl of food and I'll be like, okay, I'm going to work on place, or I'm going to send you to 2 different place boards for 3 or 4 times. And then I'll take a handful of your food from that bowl I just dished up and I feed you that. And then we go into heel and we get a really nice heel. So then when we get to the field, everyone's like, oh, wow, your dog like does know its job and it does have that. It just has a little bit of that tune up, and if you do that even twice a month with a turnkey dog, that's hopefully you can do it more than that, but I know you guys have kids and life and all those things. So like being practical with that too. But if you make them work for one meal of that time in a capacity of working for their obedience, that dog is going to be like jacked, and they're going to probably sleep so hard that night because they're going to be like, well, this was a game changer. And yeah, it just gives them the ability to work on some of that foundation stuff and just tuning it up pretty much.
It's good. It's great. I mean, Matt, are you going to go outside tomorrow with Maggie and do some obedience work? You feeling excited too?
Yeah, probably. It'll be nice out. So Tommy out there, and we'll actually do something. Yeah, because I mean, everything you talked about is the same for our house. She's probably sleeping on the bed right now, but you only have so much time, or you're coming out of winter or traveling for work or whatever, and getting home from work and then taking her out training is like not the number one priority typically. Hopefully, it's like a family walk, and then hopefully that was something you could actually accomplish. But
yeah.
Now, Sami, we're talking a lot about dog behaviors and things like that. Now, how much do human behaviors affect the dogs, even when we're not spending time with our dogs one-on-one, right? Like how much, if there's a lot of anxiety or like stress, or your house is just in chaos with kids, like how much are the dogs picking up on that stuff outside of like the sessions you're spending time with them in? And like, how is that affecting them?
Their environment is like makes or breaks the dog, and how you are as a leader. Like, I think number one, your dog has to respect you, love working for you, have these things. They can't be unruly and think they can do whatever they want to do. But secondly, like, I think that even some of the most chaotic homes can, depending on what it is, but if it's like you got your gun dog and you just have kids and life's busy and you're going and all this stuff, like, if we're not talking about anxiety necessarily, but if we're talking about just like a dog being around that, I think that's actually good. The more that you can expose them to, the more like I think when dogs get really anxious is like when, okay, we feed them at 5:30 every single night. So then at 4:30, they start whining, and then like Tex is falling into this. And as soon as I see that he starts to pick this pattern up, I'm like, okay, game changer. We're going to change what we're doing because you become so patternized. And dogs are constantly reading our body language. They know the routine to the back of their hand. Your dog can read you so well that you have no idea. Like your dogs probably know exactly how you get up, and if it's a get up that they should follow you, or it's a get up I can still stay sleeping on my bed, or little things of that sort. So yes, like I want my dog to be able to be around all of that, and the more chaotic and the more they can handle that, the better, because it just builds stable dogs. But on the offside, if we're dealing with like behaviors and anxiety, I want to be able to set my dog up for success. So like a big behavior thing that I deal with a lot of is like dogs being reactive to new people coming in the house, and they will bite a dog or not a dog, they'll bite the person, or they'll bark and lunge at them. And whether it's fear-based or whether it's whatever might be triggering it, if it's actually like a protection thing, or if it's just, this dog's scared, like, what are you doing to set that dog up for success so we're not allowing chaos to keep happening? So there's a difference between your dog just adapting to your lifestyle and riding with you and being able to handle that, which is why I'm so big about doing the foundation stuff, but also getting a well-bred dog. Those two things, genetics will play a huge part into that. But if we're dealing with a dog that doesn't have those two things, or has had the right foundations, but maybe not genetically wired to be able to handle that, educating owners, hey, like, you can't allow this chaos to set your dog off. So that needs to be like you setting your dog up for success by putting them in the kennel, not letting them just bombard whoever comes in, putting them on a place. If dogs hate people, like, don't bring them to the soccer field where you have 20 kids playing soccer and people want to keep petting your dog. Like, putting your dog in situations that they can be successful in. So I think it's very dependent on the dog and very dependent on what their anxiety is stemming from. Is it just because they're getting a part of the routine, or is it because they truly are fear aggressive to this, and we have to change something in the dynamic of just setting them up for success so you don't have a liability on your hands?
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, how much of that is reversible? Like, say you have a dog that is a middle-aged or a senior dog and has some of these bad habits. Is there a certain point in which you're just going to have to let it ride, and that dog is just, it is who it is?
Yeah. So I've worked with dogs that are like 5 or 6 years old, and they'll be like, this is the rap sheet that I'm dealing with. And I find this dog and I'm like, all of these could have been preventable had you had control and had you had this dog learn that it can't be unruly. And maybe because it's over arousal or whatever. So I've had great success with some dogs that I can be able to help that by just being like, your dog needs manners. Your dog needs to be, put in its place of where it's supposed to be, in the sake of it doesn't just get to rush. It doesn't get to lunge. It doesn't get to do some of this stuff, and building better habits. But I've also, it's so interesting because like I have a lot of cases where I have this case in my mind that I'm thinking of, like this owner did everything right. And she set up her puppy lesson with me prior to getting her puppy. She's like, I'm going to do everything right. And she was your dream client. And she bought a golden doodle puppy that was so bad bred at 8 weeks old. I was like, we have a lot of reversing we're going to have to try to do, but you can't rewire a dog. You can't do whatever. And that dog ended up biting and being a liability, and she did everything right, but we can't change the genetics of this dog. So we have to be able to be like, hey, now you've come to realize what dog you have on your hands. We can't untrain this. We can't rewire your dog. You have to come to terms with what dog you have on your hands, which is then we're having our next steps talk. So whatever that might look like, rehome to behavior youth to, even just putting your dog in the kennel, not allowing when your kids bring all of their friends over to let your dog be out. Like, it takes micromanaging, but if you want to keep your dog in your home, this is what it's going to look like. So being able to have that, where then again, like I said, I've had some crazy dogs and I'm like, oh man, this is like, I'm working with a dog right now and I'm like, you could definitely be a liability with how over aroused you are and how you're not taking that and being able to put it to a healthy outlet. But once that dog gets training, when we get that dog on e-collar, when we do that thing, that dog is going to be a dream, because the mom has put in the work, but she hasn't been able to have the follow through at the point that she's at yet. And, but I think if she didn't start training with me and kind of kept down this track, I think that dog would be a liability later on down the road. Not that it's a bad dog. I think we've just crept these behaviors into building this really, really bad behavior later on, because it's learned it can get with A, B, and C. So now we're at X, Y, and Z, and the behavior has gotten so bad. So it kind of depends on what we're dealing with, like what kind of stuff is stemming from it. And truly, the dog in front of us, is this a good dog that we can keep in the home and keep doing these things? Or is this dog that is like so wired this way that we're dealing with some pretty bad genes that we just have to set our dog up to honor the dog in the best way?
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Now, if you had to put a percentage on like dogs' behavior in terms of how much of it is genetics and how much of it is taught behaviors, whether that's good or bad, like what percentage as humans are we screwing up our own dogs?
That's a good question. I don't even know if I could put a number on that. I think I say to people, you can have a bad dog and do everything right, and it still will turn out bad. And I think about this case that I had, like she did everything right. She just had a genetically bad dog. And, that goes into the backyard breeding and the people marketing these dogs and all this stuff. But you can have a dog that you do everything wrong with, and you are so unfair and you're whatever, and that dog still turns out great. And you're just like, I don't know how we got this. Like, and I think about a lot of dogs that I've met, and like, you can do everything wrong and they still have a lot of potential. And as once the owner gets the education, that potential unleashes. And I think it's just allowing them to have that education, because you don't know what you don't know. And like, that's my biggest thing with people is like, you just don't know that leads to that. And that's okay. Like, we can change that and I can help you get there. And there's a lot of power in knowledge. So if I can just help them figure out how we can get to there. And like, let's be honest, a lot of people aren't doing all the wild things with their dogs like I am and doing dog sports and trialing and whatever. They just want a good companion that they can also maybe hunt with and do these things. So it's not hard, crazy things that I'm throwing at them. I just want them to be successful, and I want their family to be successful. So however we can make that work is that. So it kind of comes down to like how committed the owner is. Like, if you give me a committed owner, like, it's going to be a breeze. If we have a lot of inconsistency or a lot of like, well, it wasn't really working, so then I started doing this, and no like follow through of trusting the process, we might have some issues for a while. So it just depends.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes sense. I mean, all three of us are still own our first dogs, right?
Yeah.
And we think back at what we knew then versus what we know now, right? Matt, you're shaking your head like how many things that we screwed up, and I think all three of us got lucky. We have good dogs, right? And we did screw up a lot of stuff. And that just goes to show you how important those genetics are, that you still can screw up and still have a pretty good dog.
Yeah. And on the flip side, you could buy a crazy psycho field trial dog and you could try to do everything you can with that dog, and that dog's still going to be jittering on like you will never take the drive out of that dog, and it's going to be hard to live with. So like 100% you can, like, especially in the lab world, because it's so diverse. But you can have a dog that this great lab that just like, or whatever breed it is in the sporting world or whatever, and you can screw up a lot of stuff, but genetically, like, they're like, I got you, I'm biddable, I'm your team player here, I'm forgiving, it's a good dog to learn with. And that's fun when you can look back and you'll be like, okay, yeah, I shouldn't have done that, but you gave me grace there. Like, we're a team, so we're always gonna have each other's back. It's the same way as like this hunting season. Like, I watched Zen go on point, and I mean, I was so in the moment, and I was just like, my heart was racing. It was so cool to watch the dog work that I literally missed like a 10-yard shot on a rooster. And I was like, I just didn't know what to do. Like, I just was so in the moment of the dog, and the dog, same thing, team player. So he'll still keep finding birds for me, even if I miss, and I'll keep showing up for him and getting him out in the field if he keeps doing that. So
that's the excuse I'm going to have to start using when I'm missing 10-yard shots. I was just so focused on the dog. That's a good one. I got to add that to my arsenal of my excuses that I use.
Everyone was like, what just happened? And I was like, I don't even know what happened. Like, I'm so embarrassed. It's like the shot that still haunts me. And I mean, the rooster held so tight. And usually I feel like when you get that opportunity, I'm so expecting it to be a hen. So I'm just like, whatever.
Yeah.
Held so tight. And it would have been like, I think I was just like playing it out in my head that in the moment I was like, always behind, because I was like, this is how it should be. And yeah, so that shot still haunts me. I still think about that. I'm like, sorry, Zen.
I got a few of those, that's for sure.
Me too. All right, we've been rolling for over an hour. You have to come back on, okay?
Yes.
When Matt or Jeff finally pull the trigger on that puppy, we're going to come back and do a puppy episode for sure.
Yes.
I want to talk dog sports. I had all these questions about dog sports.
I know.
We didn't even get into it.
Sorry, Jeff. I know Jeff was giddy. We exchanged like a couple of texts or whatever, like leading up, like on podcast, saying Jeff was like, I want to ask about dogs. I want to ask about like agility and all that stuff. Yeah. And sorry, Jeff, I totally took it the other way. I want to talk about the whole like 4 quadrants, right? Positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement. Yeah. Like, you know, I want to talk about that stuff because I think that's fascinating and it's different than the way that I have a hard time with my brain like wrapping around that. So I want someone.
No, this was super fun because usually, like, I mean, obviously you guys know me through like the hunting stuff or whatever, but there's so much more stuff that I do than just the hunting. Like I said, I just started that Instagram because I wanted a place I can come back to and have all my hunting memories and all of the things that I like to do, and all these experiences I get to do with my dogs. So it's so fun to go into like the nitty gritty stuff, because if you just look at that, it's like, oh, I just work a dog in a field and that's cool. But there's so much more that goes into that I love that piece of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So before we wrap our podcast up a little bit differently, Sammy. So we'll get to that. But before we do that, Jeff or Matt, any final burning questions without taking this off into like another 30 minutes of podcast because we get on another topic rabbit hole?
Mine would be at least another hour. So I'm just we'll just stick it to the sky blasting. And,
Okay. Yeah. All right. So Sammy, the way we wrap up our podcast is with a session we call our Sky Blast questions.
Okay.
If you were just an upland hunter, Tony Peterson from Meat Eater referred to these as kiss my ass shots. So like, these are the questions they're like kind of off the cuff. They're not necessarily related to hunting. It's like a rapid fire session basically. Yeah. So our job is to ask the questions. Your job is just to answer with the first thing that comes to mind. We'll wrap things up on a lighter note. let you talk about anything you want to talk about, and then I'll hit the stop record button. That sounds good to you. Okay. All right. Who's got the first Sky Blast question?
Yeah, I can go. All right. What's your shotgun of choice for the waterfowl hunting?
SX4 Winchester.
Okay. Yeah. I see a deer behind you. If you have other mounts in your house, what's your favorite taxidermy mount you guys have at your house?
Yes, my mule deer is great, but I have a little Buffy that I shot in Washington, and he is my favorite. So I think a buffalo head is one of the coolest ducks to shoot because they're so fast and they're so little, and they're like just out there in the. And I got to shoot it in Washington. Tex got to retrieve it, and he's beautiful. So he's on a rock over there, and he's probably my favorite mount.
That's awesome. What's a bucket list hunt that you have that you'd like to do in the future?
Mine is a mountain lion hunt. I've been trying so hard to get on a mountain lion hunt behind dogs, and I've been finding it's a super expensive hunt. So I'm trying to like plan this and that I can give it like my all. So yeah, it's been a mountain lion hunt for the last 10 years. Probably longer than that. Like watching my dad used to run coon hounds and just hearing stories from that, I was like, I want to go shoot a mountain lion over dogs.
Awesome. That's all I had.
All right, I'll go next. All right, since I didn't get to talk about dog sports at all, what is your favorite dog sport to partake in?
Well, right now, they're also good for different reasons. Right now, I'm having a ton of fun in scent work because it's competitive, it's off speed, and you have to trust your dog. You have no idea where any of the odor is, and it's one little drop on a Q-tip in a huge area, and there's multiple and all of the stuff, and it's fun. It's addicting, and you have to be a good handler, so that's super fun. I also do dabble in some Frisbee stuff with my Dalmatian and my Corgi, and that is a fan favorite because I love seeing or hearing other people's reactions. So we did like a halftime show at a college football game, and just hearing people cheer when they caught the Frisbee, I was like, that's so cool. So out of those two dog sports, like, I love the scent work because I can play that with Tex, and he's super fast and it's competitive. But Frisbee, I love the interaction from the people.
Awesome. Okay, this one's kind of way out in left field, but favorite color of Skittle?
Probably pink, or like the red ones.
Okay, red. Yeah.
Yes.
I asked about Sour Patch Kids last episode, so now I had to
I hate I don't really like blue flavored things because usually it's like blue raspberry or like more sour stuff. So I avoid those. So I feel like pink or reds or whatever is in there is like my safe bet.
Okay, the strawberry or the cherry. Solid.
Yes. Yep. Yes.
Okay. All right, my last one. Are there any TV shows that you are currently binge watching?
Oh my gosh, you shouldn't even ask me this because I'm a reality TV person. I like all different shows for different reasons. So like all of the cringe-worthy shows, I'm like, I can get into some of them. But probably right now, like, what did I just watch and I had to binge it? I can't remember what it was, but like right now I'm excited. Like every week I get excited to watch like American Idol. Like there's some super good people, and usually I don't get into it. And I'm like, oh, why am I obsessed with this? But I get so excited when I have a episode to watch on that. I really liked, what was the knockoff most recent version of Yellowstone?
Oh, Marshall? Is it called Marshall?
It's not Marshall. It starts with an L.
I know,
man.
Landman, yes.
Landman, that was very good.
I binged Landman. Everyone was talking about it, and I was like, I don't know if I like want this. And then I started it, and I like finished it in like 3 days. I was like, this is so. I was like getting ready, cooking. I was like playing up my phone. So
that is a solid show. I heard they're coming back for another season too in the fall. So
good. Yeah, I really liked that.
Awesome. Okay, that's all I got. Tyler.
All right, I've got a few here. Of course. So first question out of the gate, Sammy. I ask this everybody: coffee or energy drinks?
Well, I do both every day. So I would say I'm definitely an energy drink person. Celsius, green apple cherry, or an orange kiss Alani is kind of my like 2 energy drinks right now.
It's like a different language to me, Matt. Is that like something you drink?
I've never had either of those flavors, but I've been on a real Celsius kick recently. So yeah.
I love Celsius.
Jeff and I, the coffee snobs, are over here like, I have no idea what you
Some
just
black
said.
coffee.
Though I seriously like nothing is better than like a hot coffee and making it however you want, or just like spoiling yourself with a super great latte from somewhere. Like this morning I made myself an iced coffee. So, and yesterday I was drinking a Celsius at 7 a.m. So it just really depends what I'm in the mood for.
Got it. All right. You've gotten into waterfowl hunting quite a bit. What is your favorite blind snack?
I really like those little muffins that are so bad for you. There's like 4 that come in a pack.
The bag. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
the Hostess ones or whatever. Yeah, the mini ones.
Yes, the mini ones. I really like those. Also beef jerky or like sticks. I feel, and I'm also a very bad blind snack packer. Any one of my friends that we invite hunting, they pack the snacks and I'm like trying to eat off of whatever they brought. I'm like, do you bring anything? They're like, how do you not bring stuff? And I'm like, no, my husband just like doesn't eat when he's hunting. He just is so like fixated on whatever we're doing or whatever. And I used to be a snack girl growing up. My dad always packed all my snacks. He was like, always made sure I never had to get hangry. Now I've just had to learn to like not have snacks. So usually my friends will like pack great snacks, but if I'm going there, I also in the morning, if I am going to a gas station before, I get one of the like raspberry like cream like rollover things that are in the donut section. They're not a donut, but they're like a Danish kind of thing. I don't know. And they're warm. They're like kind of like a warm Pop-Tart / toaster strudel. Like that's like what it reminds me. Yeah. So that's kind of like my go-to at a gas station.
Okay. Those little muffins, they're bringing back like memories from growing up as a kid. I used to hammer those things. Oh, blueberry. You said that and I was like blue, like the soft little like blue. Oh,
they're so bad for you that you literally have them in your blind bag for multiple years and they still taste the same. And you're like, it's not that bad.
Exactly. All right. What is your favorite breed to train?
I mean, I'm partial to a well-bred, cute little black lab. If you show up with one of those, like, and it's cute, I'm a diehard for it. So, I love the sporting dogs because they're so biddable. They're team players, all of that. I like herding dogs, but I don't like them as much as I like the sporting group of things. They're just easier. They're fun. They're all to drive while also not having some of the like wild nipping and crazy stuff we have to counter. So
sure. So I was gonna say, I wrote down like least favorite, but I think it should be most challenging breed to train.
I will say it depends on the owner. You can give me the like craziest Shiba Inu, Husky, whatever you want to give me. If the owner sucks, I'm like, I'd rather take a challenging dog, like some of the more independent breeds, your Akitas, your Huskies, your Shiba Inu. Some of those dogs are independent and a good owner any day of the week than the best bred lab and a crappy owner. I'd rather have an owner who's committed. But yeah, I mean, like any of your like guardian breeds, your independent breeds, your breeds that just are like, they have quirks you got to educate people on. If people don't know those quirks, for example, actually, I know my breed. It's a sheepadoodle. I hate sheepadoodles. I think they're the worst thing you could have bred together. And it's because we're taking a golden retriever or a poodle, whatever you're doing with that. And those dogs are made to be family dogs. And then you take a sheepdog that is made to live on a farm and not really like strangers. And it's made to be like more of a, aloof, guardian, stranger danger kind of dog. And we are breeding these things and then we're putting them in a home with kids. And I will say all of the sheepadoodles I've trained, I have not seen one that I've liked. And I've not even met one that I've liked. Like golden doodles, labradoodles, no, I don't love them, but there's some pretty cool ones out there I've met. And I'm like, I'll give it to you. You have a cool dog. Sheepadoodles, I haven't met one that I like.
What about Bermudoodles?
And same with Bernedoodles. I don't love them, but I've met a couple good ones. I have to give it to them. I'm like, hey, you're a decent dog, but I've met some really bad bred ones, like some really either scary or a ton of anxiety. I see so much anxiety in Bernedoodles. It's insane.
Yes. Yes, I would agree with that. Okay, let's wrap on a lighter note here. Okay, tacos or pizza?
Tacos.
Oh, no,
That was quick.
That was okay.
Tacos.
All
I
right.
had chicken tacos for lunch today
Okay.
because you
All
can
right.
put all the toppings on it, and like pizza is great, but yeah, I don't know, tacos all the way.
Okay, perfect. All right, that's it. I'm out of shells. That's it for Sky Blast questions. So, Sammy, before I hit the stop record button, this is your chance. I think you should. You obviously have to plug your Instagram, right? But plug any partners you want to plug, anything else, and mention the ebook again, whatever you want to do, and then we'll end the recording piece here.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you guys can follow me on Sodak Sammy Joe on Instagram, and I'm also starting to grow on my Facebook. So my Facebook, I am posting a little bit more day-to-day stuff and some of the stuff that doesn't hit the Instagram. But my Instagram is just like a cool collection of dogs or whatever. Through my Instagram, I'm posting all kinds of whatever links you can follow me at, as far as like my personal dog training, which is called Empower Dog Training, to my connections with the gun dog doc who is at Up Leash now, and those kind of connections to Yukonuba, the dog food that I partner with, and some of the other cool things that I do. So if you follow that, you'll see my wide variety of my life on Instagram or Facebook.
Perfect. Excellent. Sammy, thanks for taking time out of your very, very busy schedule. I know we enjoyed the conversation. We're already planning for the next.
You guys
one
just
or
let me
two or
know
three.
when the next time is.
Okay.
Game on. It's on my calendar. This is
Okay.
going to be a time, like my favorite podcast so far. So I have had a good time, and it's been really fun to talk about all of this stuff.
Yeah, likewise. And for those listening that you've made it this far, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. We'll be back next week with another episode. Peace.